Senior political analyst Britt Hume here tonight with us as well. Britt, good evening.
That's a tall order, Bill, what it all means. I'll do my best.
Go for it.
Well, looking first at this decision on what's been called the travel ban, a couple of things to remember. One is obviously they're going to hear the case in full in the fall, so it's conceivable that the ruling could go a different way from the way it was pointed today, but unlikely. In order to lift most of the the restrictions, lift the injunction to basically reinstate most of the travel ban, the court had to find that the administration was likely to prevail on the merits when the case is fully argued. So that means the administration starts out with a leg up in the fall, and the court is likely to continue to go in that direction. It basically divided immigrants or potential immigrants under this law into two classes. One is people who have a defined and clear connection to the United States, either through blood relative, as was mentioned, or because they have a job waiting for them, or they're enrolled in school. That, in terms of the absolute numbers, is a relatively small group. Everyone else, people with no such defined connection to the United States, is now in a situation where they can be blocked from coming in. And that, of course, is nearly everybody. And, of course, the people you'd be most worried about are people who have no real connection to the United States. So this is a pretty complete win for the president on that, and a likelihood that when the case is fully argued in the fall, that the administration will prevail there as well.
So just listening to Tim O'Brien, the Supreme Court analyst, describe that gives us a blueprint then for how this may turn out.
Well, it gives us a sense, yeah, because it's kind of an unusual situation. Normally, if you're the party seeking an injunction, for example, in other words, you're going to get the court before it's heard a case to order some action stopped or a law suspended or whatever. You're the one carrying the burden of proof. Well, in this case, there was an injunction in place, and the administration was in the position of asking that order be stayed. In other words, to reinstate the ban, and they were carrying the heavier burden of proof. And because they were carrying that heavier burden to get the court to do that, and the fact that they prevailed, and there were no dissenting views from the opinion here, none recorded. That doesn't mean everybody agreed, but it suggests a high likelihood of that. There were 3 dissents from 3 of the conservative justices who believed that it didn't go far enough, that the court should have reinstated the whole ban. So the administration looks to be in pretty good shape.
So to get to that point, Britt, you would consider this a heavy legal lift, but in the end, ultimately, it does not appear to be that way.
Well, it would have been a heavy. I thought it was a heavy legal lift for them to get the court to do what it did, but they succeeded on that. And got the ban reinstated for now. And of course, we have this question. The ban is a 90-day ban. By the time the court hears this in the fall, 90 days will have elapsed. So the matter may be moot, and the court may never actually act on this.
9 months may have elapsed, and before you get a ruling, it may be closer to 11.
Yeah, well, that's right. But by the time it's argued, it'll be 9 months.
This is Libya, Somalia, Yemen, Syria, Iran, Sudan. The left had characterized it from the very beginning as a travel ban.
A Muslim ban.
What was the mistake in not going after these governments as failed governments or failed states?
I'm not sure that was what the mistake was. The mistake, I think, that we need to point out here today is that the lower courts did not fully recognize the extent of the president's powers when it comes to matters of national security of this kind. And this court, in this case, took note of that, and it brushed past the legal arguments that were made by the appellate courts and the lower courts in blocking the ban. What it will ultimately have to say about those arguments later on remains to be seen, but for the moment, those look like a dead letter.
Thank you, Britt. Nice to see you.
Thank you,
Britt
Bill.
Hume here in Washington.